Now let's see if we've done this correctly. So it checks, it deletes the file if it exists. Now first off, let's make sure the file over here does not exist. Delete it if it's there, create the worksheets. I know this seems weird, but look, it actually did create the control file and it created it with the 3 columns that we asked it to. So very cool that we can actually have it set up like that. So pretty smooth, I think, to have it set up like that. Let's go ahead and close this out. Now again, if I ran this one more time, of course, it's going to delete the file and then it creates the worksheet. Now this step, number 2, is very important. We want to have a single file. And if we delete the file up here, then that deletes the table structure. And then if you remember, where was our project requirements here? Our project requirements to export the data, we need this as a destination. So when we drag our data flow task in, so this is step 3, export, we're going to go to SQL Server as a source. Let's make just a connection to, I'm using, by the way, any one of the AdventureWorks databases will allow you to get this done. And I'm going to actually write a query here. Let me see. I want to do this in a variable. Okay, so I'm going to make this dynamic. Stick with me. I know this is a part that if you don't have a lot of experience with this, maybe not does not make a lot of sense. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to make a SQL statement variable. So this is a dynamic SQL statement. And my SQL statement is going to be select the customer ID, sales order ID, what was it? What did we say? Salesperson ID from sales order header where customer ID equals something. Let's come over here. See, I was over there looking. Let's just grab some here. 29,825. I'm grabbing a customer's orders. Trust me, I got it. You're going to understand it. Just give me a second. So I'm just going to paste all that in there. The whole thing. I know this is where it'd be nice to have a larger window for your SQL statement here. Um, or, you know what, I'm actually going to make it even stronger here. Um, and I'm going to say customer ID is an integer. And let's make that 29,825. Wasn't that what it was? 29,825. Okay. You'll get it. You're gonna see um, what I'm doing here. Or no, I'm not even going to do that. I'm going to delete base SQL statement. I'm just going to make this a SQL statement, and I'm going to take out the customer. Just give me a second here. I hated that I just confused you here. Sorry, very sorry. Our SQL statement is a full bore select with no where clause. Don't worry about it. We're never going to export that. You'll see. Watch what I'm going to do now. Now I'm going to go to my data flow task. And my source is not a table, it's a SQL command. And so I'm going to use the SQL statement. And I'm going to use this SQL statement not because I want to export this data, but because I want SSIS to be able to read the column names and data types and suggest the columns. Okay. Because now we want to write it to an Excel file. Well, which Excel file? You know. Let's make ourselves use the control file. So which sheet? Do you remember how I wrote the execute SQL command to say create table? That's the sheet we want to use. and we set up our mappings. Okay. Now, so step 3 is cool, but wait a minute. Time out. And this is really important here because I'm going to tie this together. If I ran this right now, which records would get exported to Excel? Every one of them, right? How can we make this be a dynamic to allow it to actually say, no, 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 only we need to put a where clause in here that says where customer ID equals whatever the value of the variable was. How can we do that? Aha, my friend, I can tell you we need to put another step into our chain. And this is where I was saying earlier, we had 4 steps, but there's really a 5th one. Assign SQL statement. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to come in here. We need to be able to read the value of the customer ID. And we need to write to the SQL statement. You see, that SQL statement that we put in was fake. We're not going to use that. That was just simply to get us past the the data flow task. Get it to allow us to suggest the types. So what we're going to do, I use C#. You want to use C#? Okay. Is we're going to say, we get all this junk out of the way because I don't need it. What we're going to say, I'm just trying to get you to focus right here. We're going to say, give me my SQL code, is a new string builder class. Those of you in VB, it's going to be the exact same things minus the semicolons. And we're going to say our SQL code is, and I'm going to type that statement back in. So customer ID, sales order ID, sales person ID from sales.sales order header. And I'm going to, append that as a new line. And I'm going to actually do this so that you can see it all. Together. So you can see what we're doing. We're basically across multiple lines splitting this. So SQL code dot append line. Actually, I'm going to do an append format where customer ID equal. Have you seen that before? I know we have talked about that in this course so far. It's a tokenized string. And what we can do here is we can now say, in where that 0, the bracket 0 bracket is, I want you to put the value of the customer ID variable. So I'd probably do mine like that. So at the end, it's just going to take whatever the value of the variable is, and it's going to put it here. Now, for those of you that are in VB, those curly braces do need to be in your statement. And lastly, we need to write this back to our SQL statement variable equals SQL code dot string. So again, on VB, it's the exact same thing except for take out your semicolons. That's all you have to do. So move this over so make sure you can see that. It's building a dynamic SQL statement, an ad hoc SQL statement. Okay. Now that I have my SQL statement built dynamically, now when it runs the export, it's only going to export whatever the value of that particular customer ID is. Okay. Now let's test it out before we go into the C# or the VB part. Just make sure that I've not messed something up here. Looking good. And hey, looks good, right? However, we've got to make it. We've got to, hey, I want you to be big and blue and yellow and right. I mean, we didn't do all of that. Okay, so we'd have to do all of that to make it actually look pretty. Pretty being a subjective word. Okay. All right. Now we have the setup. Let's come back in the next video and introduce the .NET side of things.